The breaking point. The colony ship New Horizon carried 12,000 souls when it departed from Kepler Station. Families seeking fresh starts on distant worlds, teachers ready to educate the next generation of frontier children, doctors prepared to heal in systems where medical care was desperately needed. The ship bore no weapons, only dreams. Its hull was painted bright white with blue stripes, the universal colors of peaceful passage, and its transponder broadcast on all frequencies that it carried civilians, including 4,000 children under the age of 16. The Zephyrian warfleet found it drifting through the disputed Cascade sector at 0800 hours, Earth Standard Time. What happened next would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned that human patience had limits, and crossing those limits came with consequences that no species could have imagined. Supreme Commander Korthax of the Zephyrian Empire watched from his command throne as his fleet surrounded the human vessel. The Zephyrians were an ancient warrior race, their crystalline bodies reflecting light in patterns that denoted rank and achievement. For 3 millennia, they had expanded their empire through calculated brutality, understanding that fear was the most efficient tool of conquest. The humans, barely 2 centuries into their spacefaring era, needed to learn their place in the galactic hierarchy. The transmission from the New Horizon came through clearly on all channels. Captain Maria Rodriguez spoke with the calm professionalism that human ship commanders were known for, even as 40 Zephyrian destroyers locked weapons on her defenseless vessel. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the civilian transport New Horizon. We are carrying 12,000 civilians, including families with children. We are on a peaceful colonization mission to the Thessia system, which is in neutral space. We request safe passage under Galactic Assembly Convention 779. Korthax's crystalline form pulsed with what his species considered amusement. The humans always cited their conventions and laws, as if words on documents could stop plasma cannons. He activated his own communication system, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance that made other species instinctively cower. "Captain Rodriguez, your vessel is in space claimed by the Zephyrian Empire. You have violated our sovereignty. Surrender your ship and prepare to be boarded." "Supreme Commander, we are in neutral space as recognized by the Galactic Assembly. We have children aboard. Surely we can resolve this diplomatically." The human's voice remained steady, but sensors showed her ship was broadcasting emergency signals on all human frequencies. Korthax turned to his tactical officer, whose crystalline body flickered with anticipation. "Are human military vessels within response range?" "Negative, Supreme Commander. The nearest human warship is 72 hours away at maximum speed." "Perfect." Korthax's form brightened with satisfaction. "Captain Rodriguez, you speak of diplomacy. Let me be diplomatic. The Zephyrian Empire is annexing the Cascade sector. Your presence here is an act of aggression. Since you refuse to surrender, you leave us no choice but to defend ourselves. We're unarmed. We have 4,000 children on board." Rodriguez's composure finally cracked, desperation bleeding through her professional mask. "Then you should have chosen a different route." Korthax gestured to his weapons officer. "All ships, fire at will. Leave no survivors. Let this be a message to humanity about the price of defying the Zephyrian Empire." The massacre lasted 17 minutes. The New Horizon, built for comfort and efficiency rather than combat, had no chance against military-grade weapons. Its hull cracked like an egg under sustained plasma bombardment. Emergency pods launched desperately into space, only to be picked off one by Zephyrian fighters. The ship's final transmission was not from Captain Rodriguez but from the ship's educational center, where a teacher had gathered the youngest children, trying to keep them calm as the hull breached. The audio feed captured their voices singing a human nursery rhyme before the vacuum of space silenced them forever. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in her office aboard the battle carrier Prometheus, Earth's most advanced warship, when the news reached her. She was reviewing patrol schedules, managing the 1,000 daily tasks that kept humanity's growing fleet operational, when her aide, Commander Lee, entered without knocking. The breach of protocol told her everything before he spoke a word. "Admiral, we've lost the New Horizon." The Zephyrians, they destroyed it. All souls lost. 12,000 civilians, including. Lee's voice caught. Including 4,000 children. Chen took the datapad from his shaking hands and read the sensor logs, the distress signals, the final transmissions. Her own niece, Emma, had been aboard that ship. 8 years old, excited about seeing alien worlds, sending her aunt messages about how she wanted to be a xenobiologist when she grew up. The datapad showed Emma's name among the confirmed dead. Admiral Chen set down the datapad with careful precision. When she spoke, her voice carried no emotion, which was somehow more terrifying than rage. Commander Lee, implement communication protocol silent running. All human vessels, all colonies, all installations. Complete communication blackout with non-human entities. 48 hours. Ma'am, the Galactic Assembly will want to discuss. The Galactic Assembly can discuss whatever they wish. We will not be participating. Summon every admiral, every general, every strategic mind we have. We convene in 6 hours. The Galactic Assembly did indeed convene, gathering in their massive station orbiting the neutral world of Concordia. Representatives from 60 species filled the amphitheater, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of sounds, colors, and pheromones. The Altarian representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, called for order. We are here to address the unfortunate incident in the Cascade sector, the Altarian began, its voice resonating directly in each being's consciousness. The destruction of a human civilian vessel by Zephyrian forces has created a situation requiring immediate diplomatic intervention. Ambassador James Harrison sat in humanity's seat, his dark skin gleaming under the station's lights, his expression carved from obsidian. He said nothing as species after species offered their thoughts. The Vexery suggested economic sanctions. The Quellans proposed a strongly worded condemnation. The Zephyrian ambassador, a younger crystalline being named Vertex, stood to address the assembly with the arrogance his species was known for. The human vessel was in disputed territory after multiple warnings. The Zephyrian Empire regrets the loss of life, but the humans must understand that their rapid expansion cannot continue unchecked. We offer them this chance: withdraw from the Cascade sector and 3 adjacent systems, and we will consider this matter resolved. They have 48 hours to respond. Harrison stood slowly, his movements deliberate. He walked to the center of the amphitheater, where speakers traditionally stood to address the assembly. Instead of speaking, he activated his personal projector. The holographic display showed the new horizon in its final moments. The assembly watched in silence as escape pods were systematically destroyed, as the ship's hull gave way, as 12,000 lives ended in the cold of space. When the recording finished, Harrison spoke just 4 words: "Humanity will remember this." Then he walked out of the assembly, leaving 60 species to debate what those words might mean. The 48 hours of human silence that followed became known as the Quiet Before. Every human ship went dark. Every human colony ceased external communication. Trade vessels returned to human space without explanation. The entire species simply vanished from galactic communication networks. The Zephyrians interpreted this as shock and preparation for capitulation. Emperor Korthax himself broadcasted messages offering increasingly generous terms for humanity's surrender, each one more magnanimous than the last, each one explaining how the Zephyrian Empire was not without mercy. In the war room of the Prometheus, Admiral Chen stood before a gathering of humanity's military leadership. The holographic displays around them showed not battle plans but something far more comprehensive. Every Zephyrian installation, every supply route, every shipyard, every command center across their empire was marked and catalogued. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of 12,000 dead civilians, "the Zephyrians have taught us a valuable lesson. They've shown us that in this galaxy, mercy is seen as weakness. They've demonstrated that the murder of children is considered acceptable if it sends a message." She paused, looking at each face in turn. They're about to learn that humans can send messages too. General Marcus Webb, commander of humanity's marine forces, studied the tactical displays. "This is Protocol Aegis. I didn't think we'd ever implement it." "Neither did I," Chen admitted. "But they killed 4,000 children to make a point. They destroyed a ship full of families because they could." The Galactic Assembly offered words. "The Zephyrians offered us terms of surrender." Her expression hardened. "We're going to offer them something different." The reckoning. The first sign that something had changed came exactly 48 hours after the New Horizons' destruction. Across the Zephyrian Empire, things began to disappear. Not dramatically, not with explosions or grand announcements, but with the quiet efficiency of a surgeon removing cancer. A supply convoy carrying military provisions to the Cascade sector vanished between transit points. No debris, no distress signals, just gone. 6 hours later, another convoy disappeared. Then another. Within 24 hours, 17 Zephyrian supply lines had been severed with surgical precision. The Empire's logistics network, built over millennia, began to collapse like a house of cards with its foundation removed. Supreme Commander Korthax received the reports in his crystalline palace on the Zephyrian homeworld of Prisma. His form flickered with irritation as his advisors presented increasingly alarming data. How can convoys simply vanish? Where are the attack recordings? Where is the debris? His intelligence chief, a smaller crystalline being whose surface was dulled with age, projected a holographic map of the Empire. Red marks indicated lost convoys, and they were spreading like a virus. "Supreme Commander, we have no recordings because there are no survivors. The attacks, if we can call them that, are completed in seconds. By the time our escorts can react, the freighters are gone." "Pirates?" Korthax's form pulsed with anger. "No, Supreme Commander. Pirates leave debris. Pirates take time. This is..." The intelligence chief paused, searching for words. "This is something else." The something else was humanity implementing Protocol Aegis, a military doctrine developed in secret over 50 years. Unlike other species who thought in terms of battles and territories, humans had asked a different question: what if we needed to completely dismantle a spacefaring civilization without committing genocide? The answer was elegant in its brutality. Don't destroy the people, destroy their ability to function as an interstellar power. Every human intelligence asset, every piece of surveillance technology, every quantum computer dedicated to military planning had been activated simultaneously. While the galaxy debated and the Zephyrians celebrated their show of force, humanity had mapped every critical component of the Zephyrian Empire's infrastructure. They knew which supply routes were essential, which installations couldn't be replaced quickly, which command nodes controlled entire sectors. Captain David Park commanded the stealth frigate Ghost, one of humanity's black project vessels that officially didn't exist. His ship was one of dozens conducting Operation Stillwater, the systematic interdiction of Zephyrian supply lines. The Ghost dropped out of quantum space precisely 300 meters from a Zephyrian convoy, its stealth systems rendering it invisible to every known sensor technology. "Target acquired," his weapons officer reported. 6 freighters, 2 destroyer escorts. Disable the destroyer's engines and communication arrays. Leave life support functional. Park's voice was calm, professional. Strip the freighter's cargo holds and navigation systems. Paint the message on their hulls. The operation took 4 minutes. Precision strikes disabled the warships without destroying them, leaving their crews alive but helpless. The freighters were emptied of their cargo by specialized extraction beams, their navigation computers wiped clean. On each hull, nanobots painted a simple message in Zephyrian script: "You killed our children. This is the consequence." Across the Empire, similar scenes played out. Zephyrian shipyards found their construction bays mysteriously empty, the half-completed warships vanished overnight. Command centers experienced cascading system failures that left them operational but unable to communicate with their fleets. Weapon depots discovered their arsenals had been replaced with children's toys from Earth, a message that required no translation. The Galactic Assembly called emergency session after emergency session. The Altarian representative pleaded for humanity to engage in dialogue. This aggression cannot continue. You're destabilizing the entire sector. Ambassador Harrison attended via hologram, his expression unchanged from the day he'd walked out. The Zephyrian Empire murdered 12,000 civilians, including 4,000 children. They did this to send a message. We are simply responding in kind. But you're destroying their entire infrastructure. The Vexery representative's 6 arms gestured frantically. Yes, Harrison agreed. And notice how we're doing it without killing a single Zephyrian. We're showing more restraint than they did. Every Zephyrian life is being preserved. Their empire, however, is another matter. Emperor Korthax made his first attempt at negotiation 2 weeks into the human campaign. His crystalline form had dulled, stress fractures appearing across his surface as his empire crumbled around him. The transmission was sent directly to Admiral Chen, bypassing normal diplomatic channels. Admiral, this has gone far enough. We acknowledge the loss of life was regrettable. We offer reparations, territorial concessions, whatever you require to end this assault on our sovereignty. Chen appeared on his screen, her face calm as still water. Behind her, the bridge of the Prometheus hummed with activity. Emperor Korthax, you seem to be under a misunderstanding. This isn't a negotiation. This isn't even a war. This is a lesson. What do you want? Korthax's harmonic voice carried desperation for the first time in his long life. I want those 12,000 people to be alive. I want those 4,000 children to see their new homes. Can you give me that? You know I cannot. Then we have nothing to discuss. Chen's image flickered. Your empire chose to murder children to make a point about strength. We're going to dismantle your empire to make a point about consequences. When you can no longer project power beyond your home system, when your name becomes a cautionary tale whispered in the dark corners of the galaxy, perhaps then you'll understand the price of crossing humanity. The campaign continued with relentless precision. Human cyber warfare specialists infiltrated Zephyrian financial networks, not to steal but to freeze. Trade agreements became null and void as the Empire's credit disappeared into quantum-encrypted lockboxes. Colonies found themselves cut off, their supply ships never arriving, their communications dark. The Zephyrian Empire, which had stood for 3,000 years, began to collapse in weeks. Other species watched in horror and fascination. The Quellans quietly withdrew their ambassador from Zephyrian space. The Vexery cancelled all trade agreements. Even the warlike dragons, who respected strength above all else, sent a message to Earth: we understand. We will remember. The final blow came 6 weeks after the New Horizons' destruction. Every remaining Zephyrian warship, from the smallest patrol vessel to Korthax's own flagship, found their weapon systems permanently disabled. Not destroyed, but fundamentally altered at the quantum level, their plasma cannons transformed into useless sculptures of metal and crystal. The technical mastery required for such an operation was beyond anything the galaxy had thought possible. Admiral Chen transmitted a final message to the Galactic Assembly and the Zephyrian Empire simultaneously. She stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, now positioned in orbit above the Zephyrian homeworld. The entire human fleet, previously hidden, revealed itself. Hundreds of ships, each one armed with weapons that could crack worlds, hung in space like a constellation of judgment. The Zephyrian Empire murdered 12,000 human civilians, including 4,000 children, Chen began, her voice carrying across thousands of worlds. They did this to demonstrate their strength, to show that mercy was weakness. We have spent 6 weeks demonstrating something different. We have shown that humans can dismantle an empire of 3,000 years without taking a single life. We have shown that our mercy is not weakness but a choice that can be revoked. She paused, letting the words settle across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire is ended. They will retain their homeworld and enough infrastructure to sustain their population, but they will never again project power beyond their system. Any attempt to rebuild their military will be met with immediate response. Any aggression toward any species will result in consequences that make this campaign seem merciful by comparison. The transmission ended with Chen's final words, "We came to the stars seeking peace, knowledge, and friendship. We still seek these things. But let the galaxy understand, we are not prey. We are not weak. And we do not forgive the murder of our children." In the years that followed, the phrase, "pulling a Zephyria," entered the galactic lexicon, meaning to catastrophically underestimate an opponent. The Cascade sector was transformed into a memorial zone, where 12,000 monuments floated in space, each one bearing a name. The largest monument, a crystalline structure that caught and reflected starlight in patterns of infinite beauty, bore a simple inscription in every known language: "They dreamed of new worlds. They found eternity." The galaxy learned its lesson. Humanity's merchant vessels traveled unmolested through even the most lawless sectors. Their colony ships were given wide berth and safe passage. Their children grew up on 100 worlds, playing under alien suns, never knowing that their safety had been purchased with such a terrible demonstration. Admiral Sarah Chen retired 5 years after the campaign, spending her final years teaching at the Academy on Mars. She never spoke publicly about the operation again, but her students noted that she kept a small hologram on her desk, a picture of her niece Emma, 8 years old forever, smiling as she looked up at the stars.